the video, let's talk about applying yourself. And I've talked about, you know, dedication. I've talked about putting in effort. I've talked about discipline and, all these sorts of things that kind of fit in with applying yourself. But when it comes to the root of applying yourself, that the application of, you applying yourself and whatever you are applicating that towards is going to be, what you're going to be working towards, what you're going to be trying to accomplish, what you're going to be trying to succeed in. What are the next steps in your life that you're working towards that you need to apply yourself in? Where are the parts in the certain states of beings and spaces, places, and things and situations and scenarios and experiences where you need to apply yourself? Asking yourself, how can I best apply myself in this situation? Or being able to have the ability to apply yourself in any situation is going to have a great effect on the outcome and the overall outcome of that situation or scenario. And when it comes to applying yourself mentally, think about the ways that you think about the ways that you use your mind, think about what you use your mind to do on a day-to-day basis, think about how you can apply yourself as far as mentally in order to improve your mental state of being. How can you apply yourself mentally in order to fulfill the parts and spaces that you're working on in regard to the mental state of being? How can you apply yourself mentally to think a different way, to challenge a way that you had previously been thinking, to become even more sharper on a way that you're thinking as far as mentally, to apply yourself in the mental state of being and through the mental state of being is to continuously become, sharper more when it comes mentally, more able to use your mental state of being, able to use your mental forms, able to use your ability to think and have that ability to have independent thought and freedom of thought and the ability to ease the mind in a way where you can use your mental state of being in the best way that helps you to use your mental state of being to apply yourself to whatever it is that you have to apply it to in regards to mentally. So when it comes to applying yourself mentally, you got to continuously be able to check in as far as mentally and be like, okay, this is what I'm working on as far as mentally. This is how, where, and how I can apply myself as far as mentally. And being aware of, what it is that you have, like what your goal is in mind as far as mentally, or whatever it is that you're working towards as far as mentally, or whatever your mind is on or fixated on as far as mentally, being able to apply yourself to that and figure out how you're going to apply yourself, how you're going to reach this and make these things possible, how you're going to accomplish these goals that you have in mind, how you're going to accomplish these spaces that you're trying to reach or these states that you're trying to reach as far as mentally. So continuing to apply yourself mentally can make you more mentally sharp. It can make you more able to understand things mentally. Comprehension can rise when it comes to applying yourself when it comes to mentally, because you could just be going through, actions and day after day and situation after situations with just kind of mentally existing and not really even paying attention much or applying yourself whatsoever as far as in that mental state of being, and you can have your mind become dull and have your mind become less sharp. Whereas if you're applying yourself mentally on a constant basis, and that's why we've talked about consistency, because all the things that we talk about are, their energies, their mechanisms, their the ways and the processes in life that we work towards things and that we are using in all experiences. So when it comes to that, being able to stay in a way and state of applying yourself as far as mentally is going to push you forward as far as your mental state of being. It's going to push your mental forms, push your ability mentally to do whatever it is that you have to do as far as mentally into a forward progressive state. Therefore, you're not becoming dull, you're not becoming stagnant or docile as far as mentally. Being able to apply yourself mentally can shoot you very far onto coming out into being able to mentally discover new concepts, being able to mentally comprehend new things, being able to mentally understand languages, be able to mentally understand body language, be able to mentally understand what other people are thinking, be able to mentally understand what is going on mentally in regards to what may be occurring, outside of you as far as mentally, whatever you can attach, reason to or sense as far as mentally. When you're applying yourself to mentally, these are the things that you can gain out of being, in that application, being present as far as mentally and being able to apply yourself mentally. You can learn even clearer ways to think, even more clairvoyant thought patterns, even more clairvoyant mental thought forms that you use on the situation to situation basis. Therefore, you are seeing things more clearly as far as mentally. Being able to apply yourself can have all these outcomes as far as, mentally. When it comes to an example that I can give you guys, me just breaking down, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, being able to use the mental state of being and apply my mental state of being to think about what things can I bring as far as knowledge and wisdom in regards to applying yourself, in regards to the states of being, which is what I talk about. Being able to even just do that is a way that I'm applying myself as far as mentally, and therefore the outcomes of that are, after I've gotten through this process and after I've gone through this mechanism of applying myself when it comes to mentally and using that mental state of being, and not only that, but using the mental state of being to break down physical, emotional, and spiritual states of being, just using the mental state of being, sure, that could be a take some of my energy as far as mentally, take some mental energy to, break down the video, communicate the topic, put it out on the platform, and whatever that may be as far as the effort and, mental strength that it takes to do so. But as soon as that's over, you kind of gain back that strength as far as mentally, and therefore the rest of the day I can be on an ascension of basically even sharpening up more and more on the mental state of being, even learning more about what I had just talked about as far as in my video when it comes to mentally, even more about being able to, let's say, develop more thought processes and patterns about reasons and senses about how more ways of how to apply yourself as far as mentally. So it has many benefits to be able to apply yourself mentally. And if you could just apply yourself when it comes to mentally, you could become more, intellectually accurate. You could become more intellectually aware of things, more consciously aware, more mentally aware, really, of all things in your existence, of all things going on around you at all certain amounts of times. So when it comes to, applying yourself mentally, you're going to be better off doing that rather than staying, let's say, reserved as far as mentally and not necessarily in a state of applying yourself when it comes to mentally. So when we push towards applying ourselves mentally, we can reach new spaces when it comes to mentally. We can reach new states of mind when it comes to mentally. We can reach new concepts. We can reach new topics. We can reach new all sorts of perspectives, the way that you see what it is that you're going through, the way that you see the world, the way that you see the universe, the way that you see your experiences, people, places, and things inside those experiences start to become more adapted as you use what you already have in a way where you're applying that, and then therefore you kind of form that mind state, form those mental forms into things that are more propelling you towards being able to grasp larger concepts, being able to grasp deeper concepts, being able to understand and overstand all sorts of things that are going on as far as in the mental state of being, not just within your own mind, but within the minds external to you and the mental realm that is in the occurrence of the whole universe as a whole. And so when we apply ourselves mentally, we're almost connecting to that, the mental realm, the realm of thought, the realm of communication, the realm of thinking, the realm of intellectualizing, the realm of intellectual property, the realm of topics, the realm of thought processes, the realm of all these things that have to do with the mental state of being. And when we start to apply ourselves when it comes to mentally, then we start to get into these, rhythms, into these patterns, into these cycles of being able to uncover, discover, derive even stronger, more depth, more thought of depth, more things, more freedom of thought that are allowing us and enabling us to move through our experiences, gaining more mental clarity, gaining more mental awareness, gaining more mental, like I said, clairvoyance. And that's really what it is and what it has to do with it as far as applying yourself when it comes to mentally. When it comes to applying yourself, physically. One second. Right, so when it comes to applying yourself physically, and we're going to go through all states of beings, mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual state of beings, and we're going to break it down so that it's clear, and that we can learn something from this, and we can learn even more how to apply ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But when it comes to applying yourself as far as physically, you can apply yourself in all sorts of ways when it comes to physically. There's all sorts of different actions that you can have, ways that you interact with the physical world when it comes to applying yourself physically. But you got to think, and you got to apply yourself in a way of your physical awareness. What are you aware of that works best to act in this certain way? What actions are you aware of that are best in relation to, and that best have to do with applying yourself, and what you get out of applying yourself when it comes to physically. I mean, a common and classic example could be working out, could be doing whatever it is that you do to keep your body healthy, to keep your vessel, your physical vessel, in a state of being and in a space that is, aligned for you, in a space that is right for all states of being, and that is right for your state of well-being as far as physically. Being able to apply yourself physically can get you towards those spaces. Being able to apply yourself physically gets you into being able to take care of your physical vessel. Being able to apply yourself physically gets you to the space of you taking care of your physical vessel. Being able to apply yourself physically pushes that lever of taking control over your physical state of being, doing what it is that you need to do in order to align your physical state of being, and therefore driving and figuring out and discovering and finding out how you can best move as far as physically. What are the best actions for you as far as physically, taking in all things in consideration, person, places, people, and things, and especially yourself and whatever it is that you're invested and involved in as far as your physical work that you put in, as far as your physical state and your physical actions and activities that you're a part of. Think about how you can apply yourself the best when it comes to physically. How can you best move when it comes to physically? What physical actions are going to be best, pushing you towards a better state of being, a better state of well-being as far as physically? How can you best apply yourself? Physically, how can I apply myself to get this goal done? Physically, how can I apply myself to get this goal done? How can I physically apply myself in this situation to where I have the best results out of this situation? Physically, how can I apply myself into this scenario to where this scenario plays out in favor of not only me, but all others that are involved in the situation, in good reflection of those people that the results of that scenario are outcoming in? And how can I apply myself in this experience to where this experience as a whole is physically moving us towards, building something physically taking care of something when it comes to physically getting into a stronger space when it comes to physically getting into a more resistant or perseverant state of the physical existence? Or how can I best apply myself physically, therefore the next situation I come across where I need to apply myself again physically, I'm that much more ready for it. I'm that much more prepared as far as physically. That's what you can get out of applying yourself physically, is that strength of, from situation to situation, you becoming more and more strong throughout those experiences. And in any situation, you're going to have to go through certain things as far as physically, certain challenges, certain obstacles, certain experiences that you have to go through as far as physically. And if you're not applying yourself and you're just allowing yourself to exist, allowing your physical vessel to decay, allowing these things, these actions that you're involved in to break you down over time and to not build you up, then you're going to end up not being anything as far as physically. You're going to end up being little to nothing as far as physically. And you don't want that for yourself. We're only guaranteed a certain amount of time in one lifetime existing inside of this physical vessel that we're in at this current time, in this, existence per se. But we need to make sure that if we are the one to be wise and knowledgeable in thinking about things to come as far as physically, we need to take care of our physical vessel. Therefore, we can have longevity as much as possible. Being able to apply yourself in the ways that are in root of your longevity when it comes to physically. Being able to apply yourself in ways that are beneficial to your physical health, beneficial to your physical state of well-being, is something you learn out of being able to apply yourself when it comes to physically. Applying yourself physically can not only do that, but it can help your mental state of being. It can help you think clearly. These things can come through just applying yourself when it comes to physically. Not only will it do that to the mental state of being, but applying yourself physically can also have an effect on the physical state of being, of course, right? You become stronger through the experiences you go through. You become stronger in the things that you're applying yourself when it comes to physically. You could become more well-versed in whatever it is that you're dealing with, more seasoned, you could say, which we're talking about this as a good term where it comes to you're becoming more experienced and more higher up on the chain as far as your abilities to apply yourself when it comes to physically. And also applying yourself physically will result most likely in many a times of a state of bliss per se when it comes emotionally, a state of emotional freedom, a state where you can use that emotional freedom and transmute it to whatever it is that you want to, but that being of feeling that you experience emotionally has come through you applying yourself when it comes to physically. And not only will that occur, but applying yourself physically can be in tandem with the spiritual mission that you're on, the spiritual purpose that you serve, the spiritual work that you put in could be pushed forward or in play by, let's say, some physical actions that you put in. Even though it might not be certain or it might not be clear, you can know, and by using your spiritual awareness and your spiritual abilities that you have, be able to figure out, okay, how is this helping me? How is me applying myself physically, further developing my spiritual path, further developing my spiritual purpose, the spiritual work that I put in, and see how those are correlated, right? And so when it comes to applying yourself physically, keep on applying yourself. Don't just give up when you're in difficult situations. Don't give up when you're dealing with difficult people, places, or things. Apply yourself no matter what is happening outside of you, no matter what is helping in your physical reality, no matter what it is that you're dealing with. Continue to apply yourself, because you will gain things out of applying yourself when it comes to physically. You will gain not only physical things, but mental, spiritual, and emotional things that you might not even be able to be aware of, but you can sense them. Okay? By doing that, by applying yourself physically, you will continue on this path in a way of strength. Continue on this path in a way of you'll always apply yourself. You won't have any situations that you go through that you're just going by and that you aren't able to push forward through these situations, and you can't get over whatever it is that is challenging you, or you can't get through certain obstacles, or you can't get through certain things that you are having trouble with. Apply yourself to those things. Therefore, you can work through those things by applying yourself. that's where you start to work on those things as far as physically. If you've made it to this point in the video, go ahead, show some support. Do whatever it is that you can. You know, I make these videos for people and for beings to view and to gain some insight from, to gain some knowledge, some wisdom, to even change a preconceived notion or something that you thought before, or challenge a way that you think about this, challenge a way that you have been thinking about this, or whatever that may be. Just show some support. I continue on to show my support through the work that I put in, and I'm gonna continue on to apply myself in that fashion, right? So let's talk applying yourself when it comes to emotionally. Emotionally, you gotta have that emotional awareness. You gotta be tapped in when it comes emotionally. You gotta have your emotional state of being, your emotional state in balance, you know, and try to strive to apply yourself to being in balance at pretty much all time. The more that you're balanced when it comes emotionally, the more that you're applying yourself to being in that emotional balance, the more your emotional state of being will reflect that. The more your mental, physical, and spiritual state of being will reflect that, the more that you apply yourself to that facet of being emotionally balanced. When it comes to emotionally applying yourself, this kind of has to do with, you self-prophesizing the way that you feel and kind of the situations that you go through is through that fire, through the flame that you feel within you, and being able to fuel that flame in any situation that you have. So being able to apply yourself with that emotional flame, that emotional passion that you have, is going to be motivation, dedication, discipline. It's going to be all these things that you pour into, not only emotionally, but physically, mentally, and spiritually, in all actions that you are in. Therefore, emotionally, you're applying yourself in these situations. Emotionally, you're reacting to what it is that you're applying yourself to. Emotionally, you're reacting to what it is that you're applying yourself to in a way that you're being emotionally wise, in a way that you're being emotionally insightful, in a way that you're being emotionally mature, in a way that you're being emotionally well experienced, in a way that you're being emotionally like I said, aware. And being able to apply yourself emotionally can help you reach spaces that you haven't been before when it comes to emotionally. Reach spaces that you might been struggling to reach, as far as a space or a place that you're trying to reach when it comes to emotionally. You can reach those spaces if you apply yourself when it comes emotionally. I think a lot of times people just feel these certain things, they feel these emotions, those emotions, not only realizing that if they apply themselves when it comes to emotionally, they can reach these emotional states, they can reach these emotional states that are high all the time, to where you'll stay up there and you'll be applying yourself to those states of beings. Therefore, you're emotionally in a more ascended place, in a more extended state as far as emotionally, just through applying yourself to whatever it is that you're going through when it comes to emotionally. Don't just have a reaction, that impulsive reaction to whatever's going on, whether that be mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Be able to have your own application and apply yourself to that situation emotionally. Have your own reaction to it. Of course, it's all right to have that impulsive reaction, or that fight or flight emotional response, or whatever it is that's built into the experience or the human stimuli, or whatever that may be, but only if that's beneficial. If it's beneficial for you to apply your emotional state of being as you should, or as you can, and as you can take that power over that emotional state of being, then do that. Do whatever it is that's going to be most beneficial to what it is that you're going through. Applying yourself emotionally can be, like I said, that self-prophesizing flame that you give yourself, the burning bush inside that, you tell yourself, I'm doing the right thing. I'm going to continue on pushing forward. Whether that be you doing something mentally and having to think about something really difficult, think about something really hard, keep thinking about it to try to uncover it, to try to discover it, to try to continue on thinking about this thing, and you going like, or, man, you know, that could be you applying yourself emotionally. Whatever you have to do in reaction to that, but you're applying yourself is what matters. You're applying yourself, and if out of mentally going through something, you have that emotional reaction, that means you're applying yourself when it comes emotionally. You're being present when it comes emotionally. And being able to be like, okay, that's a good thing. That's motivation. That's pushing me forward. Sure, I'm aware of, yeah, this is a challenging thing, but emotionally, you're there. You're willing to apply yourself to that challenge. When it comes to physically, you're, you know, pedaling your bike really hard, or you're lifting weights really hard, or you're staying up without sleep for a certain amount of time, or you're pushing your body to the extremes, or you're just pushing and applying yourself when it comes to physically, and you give off a or gotta keep going, gotta keep pushing forward, but boom, you're applying yourself physically, and then you're applying yourself behind that as far as emotionally pushing yourself forward. And when it comes to emotionally, you're like, man, I feel like this again, or man, I feel tired, or I felt like this has been going on for so long, or man, I feel beat, man, I feel fatigued, whatever that may be. You give off a big sigh, whatever that may be. Okay, so what? You're applying yourself when it comes to emotionally. You're present when it comes to emotionally. Get through that situation and continue on applying yourself when it comes to emotionally, and giving yourself that motivation, giving yourself that discipline, that dedication, putting in that effort emotionally into whatever it is that you're dealing with. You know, therefore, it doesn't even have to go further than what you're feeling in the present moment, as far as you going through spiritual challenges, going through spiritual attacks, going through spiritual obstacles, spiritual challenges, right? Spiritual times of, or spaces of difficulty, whatever that may be, as far as spiritually, being able to, you know, be emotionally present and being able to emotionally apply yourself to that, being like, going through this again, I can have this emotional reaction, but at the end of the day, I'm growing from this when it comes to spiritually. At the end of the day, this isn't going to stop my spiritual growth. This is going to put me in a better space, in a better place when it comes to spiritually. And I'm going to move from this spiritual space into the next spiritual space, applying myself spiritually. And not only that, but applying myself when it comes emotionally, and continue moving from experience to experience, applying yourself. So you can see how the different states of beings and applying yourself in those states of beings can have an effect on other states of beings, and or push you towards applying yourself even more in those states of beings. And you know, that's what we're talking about, applying yourself. So when it comes to applying yourself emotionally, it doesn't matter what you're feeling. You could be feeling, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and name what you could be feeling, because we're all familiar with the emotional state of being. We all can work towards being more aware and more in contact, or more connected, or more tapped into that emotional state of being. But that's from here to there. And when it comes to applying yourself, you can continue on being strong when it comes emotionally. You can continue on being more emotionally aware. You can continue on using your emotional state of being and applying yourself in that emotional state of being to assist you in whatever it is that you're dealing with in your life, whatever experiences that you are going through when it comes to what you're going through in your life. So last state of being, what we're going to talk about spiritually, and this has been a great experience. I've been able to apply myself in this video, and when it comes to, you know, us talking about applying, this is what it's all about, applying yourself to whatever it is that you're going through. Don't just take the back burner, don't just take the back seat in whatever it is that you're experiencing. Apply yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Take control over what it is that you can take control over. And that's my next concept. One of my next videos that I'm going to be making is, you know, take control over what it is that you control, but don't worry about what you can't control. And it's going to be of that topic. That is the topic we'll be discussing. Not necessarily sure if that's exactly what the title of the video will be, but that's neither here nor there. What matters is the content of the video. And sure, the title can be a way of finding, okay, what is he going to talk about in this video, what's going to be discussed, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to apply myself into those videos regardless of what it is that I'm talking about. So that's another point of, applying yourself. When it comes to applying yourself spiritually, apply yourself spiritually in whatever it is that you're going through, whatever things that you're acting in physically, whatever you're doing or thinking when it comes to mentally, whatever you're feeling as far as spiritually or emotionally, being able to maintain that spiritual path or maintain your awareness of the spiritual path that you're on at all times, regardless of what it is that you're doing. You may think, okay, I'm doing something right now something that I just have to do, and this has nothing to do with my spirituality. I'm calling bullshit on that, because throughout all experiences, you're going to gain experience, and that's part of spirituality, is the experiences that you go through, and some of what you go through, but primarily how you go through that and how you grow through those experiences that you're going through. So being able to apply yourself spiritually, apply yourself to being spiritually protected, apply yourself to being spiritually wise, being spiritually knowledgeable of whatever it is that you're going through, and applying yourself to that path, applying yourself to that spiritual role that you play, applying yourself to that spiritual mission that you have, applying yourself to that spiritual goal. And if you don't have these goals, missions, or purposes as far as spiritually, then apply yourself to finding these roles. Apply yourself to finding some way to fulfill yourself when it comes to spiritually. Apply yourself to what is your spiritual purpose, what is your spiritual mission in the life that you are in. Apply yourself to finding out those things. Apply yourself gonna sneeze, but all right. Applying yourself when it comes to spiritually into your spiritual purpose, into your spiritual path, whatever it is that you're dealing with. Being able to, derive spirituality out of the most, mundane to most deep of things in the experience that you go through. Being able to derive spirituality out of things that you think when it comes to mentally, experiences that you have when it comes to mentally. Being able to derive spirituality out of things that you experience when it comes to physically, actions, people, places, or things, experiences, scenarios, situations that you go through when it comes to physically, and being able to derive spirituality out of those things. Being able to go through and apply yourself spiritually to the things that you feel, to your emotional state of being, to the way that you react to the things that you go through, your emotional reaction to those things, and being able to gain spiritual insight from those emotions that you feel, being able to gain spiritual awareness from the emotional things that you sense, the emotional things that you go through, being able to spiritually apply yourself to whatever it is that you're going through on your path as far as spiritually. What kind of spiritual knowledges have you come across? What kind of spiritual knowledges do you want to come across? What kind of spiritual wisdoms do you want to develop? What kind of spiritual systems do you want to start to develop? You can do these things, but you have to apply yourself when it comes to spiritually. It's not just going to do its work for itself. You have to apply yourself spiritually. Sure, some of it can be done just through going through experiences, and as I said, your spirit gains experience through going through that, so therefore you're interacting spiritually. But if you want to truly grow and you want to truly make things happen and put in the work as far as spiritually, you have to apply yourself when it comes to spiritually. You have to do things to better assist you applying yourself spiritually. You have to think in ways and use your mental state of being in ways that are going to help you apply yourself when it comes to spiritually. You have to do certain actions and interact with people, places, and things in certain ways that are going to best help you to spiritually apply yourself. You're going to have to do things emotionally and interact with things emotionally and feel certain ways in order to best help yourself or assist yourself in applying yourself spiritually. And you're going to have to be in the right spiritual space. You're going to have to be doing certain spiritual work and certain spiritual actions in order to best help or assist you apply yourself as far as spiritually. So that's it for now. We talked about applying yourself. We started off with mentally, then we went physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And for the next couple minutes, I'm just going to kind of chop it up with you guys for the next 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And let's talk about where we're moving. Have a goal in mind of where we're trying to be. Have a goal in mind of what we're trying to reach, what spaces we're trying to reach when it comes to mentally. What spaces are we trying to reach as far as physically? What spaces are we trying to reach as far as emotionally? What spaces are we trying to reach as far as spiritually? What states are we trying to be in as far as mentally? What states are we trying to be in as far as physically? What states are we trying to be in as far as mentally? What states are we trying to be in as far as spiritually and emotionally? Think about these things as we move forward from the experiences that we are experiencing and from the situations that we are going through. Think about how you are going to move through these situations. Think about you being in your power as far as mentally, being in your power as far as emotionally, spiritually, and physically, and what that means and how you're going to go about doing those things. What are we going to do in order to apply ourselves this year, in the next coming years, and all experiences coming down the road? What are we going to do to take back our power when it comes to mentally? What are we going to do to take back our power when it comes to physically? What are we going to do to take back our power when it comes to emotionally? What are we going to do to take back our power when it comes to spiritually? All of you out there who are putting in that work when it comes to physically, emotionally, and spiritually and mentally, power to you. Power to whatever works for you in regards to you reaching those spaces of growth, you reaching those spaces of development, you reaching those spaces of expanding mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And power to that, and power to you continuing to do that and continuing to grow through whatever it is that you're going through. And when it comes to applying yourself, apply yourself in every situation that you're in. Apply yourself in the most mundane to the most extreme or the most wild experiences that you're going through. Apply yourself through those experiences. If you apply yourself through those experiences, you're that much closer to being in your power when it comes to mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually in those experiences that you're going through. And when it comes to all out there who are real, who are doing the real work that needs to be done, who are doing right by themselves, who are doing right by others, who are doing right for the betterment of the existence of all, the existence of everything that we know and everything that we experience and everything that we feel, everything that we are aware of as far as spiritually, everything that we can see as far as physically, everything that we can sense and think as far as mentally, and whatever it is that we are reacting to as far as emotionally. Those that are valuing being real, those that are valuing being stand-up individuals, power to that, and power to continue on doing that down the road. And when it comes to those who are not in that space, those who are not in that state, all you can do is, in regards to that, send the energy as far as mentally, send the energy as far as physically, emotionally, and spiritually, that they can make that happen and that they can reach those states and they can reach those spaces. And if they don't, that's up to them. It's not on you. It's up to you to be responsible for yourself as far as mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and to know that you're working towards applying yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. and physically in whatever it is that you're going through, and to continue on doing so. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being present. Thank you for viewing this video. And that's going to conclude this video on applying yourself.